PPCM is more global, affecting women from everywhere.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another Let's Talk PPCM Chat. We have our heart sister, Miss Taylor, on the line today.
Hello.
Hi, Miss Taylor. Be able to share her PPCM story with us and how she found out about her diagnosis. Miss Taylor, you have the floor.
All right. Um, so I got pregnant in 2019 with my second son. My first pregnancy was very normal. No issues at all during it. My second one, pretty much the whole thing was pretty normal up until I want to say maybe like a month or so before I actually had him. I started noticing like my hands would get really tingly, and the doctor was just saying, it's probably just how the baby is. He's probably sitting on a nerve or something like that. Don't worry about it. Everything looks normal. I had my son. Everything went fine. My epidural was a little bit weird, but everything else was normal. Then in December, he was born in August of 2019. And then I want to say late November, early December, I started getting really sick, like flu-like symptoms, super run down, really tired, very like lethargic some days, and other days I would be very normal. My hands were getting very tingly, and my doctor said maybe it's a side effect of the birth control, going back on birth control. Get off of it for a little while and see how it goes. Terrible advice, by the way. So I was like, okay, well, whatever. I went to a different doctor, because I was having trouble breathing, specifically at night when I was sleeping. I would wake up and I could feel like I could not catch my breath. I actually would sleep with the pillow. Like I would like hug the pillow and put my head on it and sleep sitting up most nights. And when I went to the doctor, they said, your tingling hands is probably carpal tunnel, and you probably have GERD just because I'm overweight and just having the baby. So they said, take this medicine and come back in 2 weeks and let me know how it is. So maybe like a week later, I woke up one day and I felt like I was dying. Like my hands and my feet were ice cold. I couldn't feel them. They were freezing, and it felt like I could see my heart beating out of my chest. It was racing so bad, and I could not calm down. I was like, all right, there's something seriously wrong. I need to go to urgent care. So I went to urgent care. They did an EKG, which came back abnormal, and they suspected that I had blood clots in my lungs. So they said, go to the ER immediately. So I did. They did all of the normal stuff, the blood work, EKG, X-ray, CT scan, everything. And they found that I had a lot of fluid around both of my lungs. So they thought that I had pneumonia, and they admitted me, put me on a ton of antibiotics, Lasix to try and get some of that fluid out. And the next day I was brought down for an echo, and the doctor walked in a few hours later, said, you have congestive heart failure. I immediately had a panic attack, and he pretty much just left the room. And I was like, I'm 29 years old and I'm gonna die. Like I really thought that was gonna be the last time I was gonna see my kids. And that was just like 4 months after my second son was born. So I had a newborn at home, and like COVID was just starting at that time too, so I couldn't really have anybody in and out. And they wouldn't let me leave until I had a life vest put on. So I was in the hospital Christmas week through Christmas. So I missed my baby's first Christmas, and got a life vest on. With the life vest, I obviously, just like with anybody, can't take it off unless you have somebody there to monitor you to make sure your heart doesn't stop. my husband was amazing, and he was able to take some time off of work and just like stay home and like help me deal with like the emotional trauma of everything and like all of the unknowns. So then COVID happened, and of course my cardiologist appointment got pushed back a few months, and so I had the life vest on for about 6 months. And when I started, my EF was less than 19%. Now that I'm about 2.5 years out, I'm on several medications, but I am now fully recovered with an EF of 55%. So I'm very thankful for that. But it was scary.
Wow. Oh my goodness. You said you had epidural problems. What kind of problems was going on with the epidural?
I pretty much labored at home. And by the time I got to the hospital, I was like pretty much ready to give birth. So they quickly put the epidural in, and it went into a blood vessel, which I later found out all the things that could happen with that. So they actually had to take that one out and put a new one in. So I had 2 epidurals, but that first one, they thought, you can have like really severe migraines and stuff to go along with the blood vessel. So they kind of like chalked up some of my symptoms to that, which obviously turns out to not be the case.
Wow. Oh my goodness. That's interesting. I know that sometimes the epidural can cause some little issues there.
Yeah.
When you went in, did they expect that it was COVID since COVID was kind of just now getting started? Like, did you hear that any?
They did not COVID test me, but because it was like really right in the beginning where there was only a few cases like in the big cities. So they didn't COVID test me. But they've checked me for the flu like 3 or 4 times, so I might as well have been COVID tested. It was awful.
Wow.
I couldn't stop coughing because I couldn't like catch my breath. So I kept coughing and coughing. And I was in like the ICU, they call it critical care for that week. So they were monitoring and checking everything.
Yes, that is very, oh my goodness, it's interesting. And how about like your extent of recovery? So about how long did it take you to actually notice that your heart was starting to recover?
I would say after maybe like a few months after I got on Entresto, that being on like the full dose of that's when I started to notice that I was starting to be able to go up the stairs without losing my breath, or just like walk around the house without feeling like I was gonna die. Yeah, it took a little while, but it was
Yeah.
fairly quick once I was able to actually go see my cardiologist.
Right. Oh my goodness. It's just very interesting on how this happens to us and how we are basically hit with the awareness of it after the fact, after we
Yeah.
already experienced it. And that is just so important to be able to tell our stories and get it out. And is there certain things that you would like other women to know, or other mothers, or what would you say to other mothers, like just out of awareness, or how can we get mothers to pay attention or at least be aware without them
Mhm.
feeling, scared or thinking that, we're frightening or trying to,
Yeah. I would say just listen to your body. Get a second opinion if you really think that there's something going on and you feel like you're being dismissed or you're not being heard. What I've come across a lot in my work life and just personal life in general is because I'm young and I didn't look sick, people didn't take it seriously. And even still now, I'm like, I still am on heart medication and I probably will forever. And I mean, that started when I was 29. You don't expect to hear that ever, but especially in your 20s. So just don't get discouraged if people don't take it seriously because you don't look sick. Like, that was really hard for me to get over, just trying to explain to people the severity of this.
Oh my gosh, I could agree so much on that. A lot of
Yeah,
people don't know how serious it is. Even with me losing my sister to this condition, it's still like, well, she don't look like she went through, what her sister went through because she's doing all it. Doesn't matter. You can't see what my heart is doing.
exactly.
It's internal. It's an internal condition. So, which is another reason why awareness is important because if they were aware
Mhm.
of the condition and how severe it is, then voila, which is why we're getting this information out here. Wow.
Yeah.
That is, oh my goodness. I thank you so much, Miss Taylor, coming on here and sharing your story with us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Anything I can do to try to spread awareness, I have been doing.
Yes. What all have you done? Or do you go and speak or are you trying?
My husband is does YouTube, so we actually post videos about this a little bit. Like my story right after it happened, we posted about that, and like the Save the Mommies, like the cups and the hoodie and stuff. I wear that and I take those everywhere. Like I had the mask for a while, and I just like want people to ask me about it.
Right, right. Yes, because we definitely, I mean, that's what our goals is. That I mean, we have to save the moms. I mean, we have to because how the world is going to go on without mothers, and then you have families, that's being disturbed and hit with this condition, and
Hmm.
now we have fathers that have to raise baby alone, or grandparents that have to raise baby alone. So it's like, it's so crucial to get this out, and I just thank you for your braveness and bravery. Is there a certain is it a YouTube that others can follow you guys?
Yeah, I can send you the video if you want. It's nothing crazy. It was just kind of telling my story and like how my husband reacted to it and stuff like that.
Oh, that should be very interesting, especially getting hubby's side. Oh my goodness, I think that is very interesting, and we do need to hear their stories, their side of the story.
Yeah, they don't get hurt and they deal with a lot of the aftermath, a lot of the emotional part of it. Of
Exactly.
that's a big life-changing thing that you're being told. So they deal with a lot of that and they don't really get a voice.
Right. Oh my goodness, I agree so much. Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
Well, thank you again, Miss Taylor, and thank you all for tuning in to our new PPCM chat with Miss Taylor. And we will be back with another chat soon, guys. So thank you again, Miss
Yeah.
Taylor.